Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kate, and today we're going to be talking about everything I got up to in the month of March. I cannot believe that we are already coming to the end of another month in 2026, but we are, and unfortunately, when looking at my little wrap-up list, or I guess my cheat sheet, I honestly want to just disclose I was in a big slump for the majority of March, so I didn't get a lot done and I don't feel like I have a huge amount to showcase, but I am going to do my best to at least talk in depth about the things that I did get finished. I have been making these videos for over a year now. I believe I started at the beginning of last year, and so if you didn't know, the first section of this we cover the games that I played and what I got up to in them, and then in the second half we go over all of the books I read and what I thought about them. I posted a vlog this month and another video showcasing a game, so some of this you may have already seen on my channel or at least have a little bit of an idea what's coming, but if you haven't seen those videos, I also just want to shout myself out real quick and say, go watch them. I put so much effort into trying to upload more on this channel this month, and I'm very happy about it. Hopefully it's going to continue in the month of April. We'll just have to see. But let's go ahead and jump straight into the game section of today's video. Okay, first up, as usual, we are hopping into Genshin, but I do want to say, once again, I have so little to show when it comes to my gacha games this month. I don't know if it's just I didn't really get lucky very often, but I also just wasn't able to spend on welkins for my games and battle passes on them like I usually do, so that probably is directly why I don't have as many things to show, but that's just how it is. Hopefully I will be able to dedicate more time in the month of April to actually playing the games that I like and not stressing so much over just doing my dailies. I really want to dive into the story for all of these games because there's so much that I'm like missing and interested in. But man, life is lifing right now, and I'm not getting the chance to do anything, which is like, okay, thank you. But one good thing did happen to me this month. Since I missed out on getting Varka and just wasn't able to successfully get a 5-star, I was lucky enough to win the 50-50 and get ᵎᵎᵃ as my 5-star, which is really exciting because out of everyone, I think I honestly wanted ᵎᵃ more than Varka. He will rerun. Obviously ᵎᵃ will too, but I just wanted to go ahead and grab her because it is her rerun and who knows how long I'll have to wait again. So I am so excited about that, and now I am just saving pulls and trying to prepare myself for Linnea. I love her character design and I'm so excited for her, but I don't know how I'm going to accomplish getting her. We're just going to cross our fingers that I have a lot of really exciting updates in the month of April, who knows. I do want to show some of the constellations I got because I did dedicate so many polls to this. I think it would be easiest to just like look at my history and show you guys. I pulled another copy of Dahlia. I can't remember. I think this puts me at C2. I will definitely check. I did also pull a copy of Beto before that, and I don't know what does that put me at? C3? I was excited about that because if I ever get C6 Beto, I will build her just for funsies. But oh, Dahlia is only at C1. I must be thinking of my alt account. But anyway, yeah, at least there's that. There's not really a lot to showcase here. I did do some exploring, but that is all showcased on videos on my other channel, so if you are interested in that, you can check that out. But I have one other gacha game to showcase. I know, guys, it's shocking. Usually I have 5 to show something for, and this time I literally have 2. Burnout is hitting me really hard, as well as the luck in the gacha games has not been great. Tell me how it's going for you guys. Of course, the other gacha that I am showcasing today is Infinity Nikki because it is the only other gacha that I will say I play as regularly as Genshin. It is Genshin, Wuthering Waves, and Infinity Nikki are absolutely my top 3. I don't really want to like rank them because depending on what's going on in the game at the time, they're like indifferent. The tier level is different, but usually Wuthering Waves is number 1-ish and Infinity Nikki and then Genshin, but whatever. That doesn't matter. I successfully pulled the 4-star on the previous banner. It was the 5th flavor. I also did enough pulls to go ahead and get the evolution for it, which in my opinion, I prefer the color scheme of this one. I just love purple and green together. I don't know what it is. The first one I love like for other reasons though. I think a lot of these pieces will be so cute to style with. So I'm just really excited. I loved this outfit, as well as, of course, the 5-star horse outfit. Or like Pegasus outfit. I don't really remember exactly what it was. I wanted it so bad. I grinded so hard for it. But unfortunately, as you can see here, I only have 9 out of 10 of the pieces. I will give you all like a little close-up of which pieces I do have because, you know, I grinded so hard to get them. But man, do I have to say it's frustrating that I don't have everything. I am missing this bow piece right here. I at least got the pieces that I wanted the most. The dress, the hair, the shoes, and some of like the bow earrings and things like that are the things that were most important to me. I cannot believe that even after grinding and using all of my saved up diamonds and everything, I was not able to finish it before the banner left. I'm sure if I had gotten on the day that it was going to change and just did everything that I could, maybe I would have been able to get that last piece. But this was during a time where I just was like not really even getting out of bed. So unfortunately, I did not succeed in bringing home that last piece that I needed. But I'm more than content with the pieces that I do have. I just kind of wish that I could have been a little luckier, but that's okay. I'm not going to complain. At least I have this to showcase. There could be nothing. This could be a wrap-up video with literally only books or like nothing to show for the gacha game. So I'm going to be grateful for the things that I did get and just say, hey, April might be an even better month for us. Who knows? We have to keep a positive mindset. But that is all I have for the gacha game. So I'm going to show you the game that we actually dove into on my channel here. The game is My Voice Zoo. I had so much fun playing this game with Brooks on my channel here. It was such a silly, the whole idea is so silly. You literally just create different voices for these animals and then they play on repeat in the zoo and they make you money. It's like an idle currency kind of game. There's different sections so you can add voice filters to your animals. This was probably the highlight of my month. It was like a $2 game and it was worth every penny. I had so much fun with it and I am excited to see if they add DLC or expand the game any because it was so much fun and I would love to even redo some of the voices and come back to it. I think that could be a fun video idea. But last thing I have to share for the month of March is probably the biggest. So I need to, give me 1 second, I need to get off of this and get everything set up so I can show you. I ended up getting myself a Switch 2, of course, because as you all know, a certain game came out in March that I just had to get my hands on. And I could only wait so long. I think I literally got maybe a week into this game existing and I was like, yep, that's it, I'm buying one. And of course, you guys already probably know what this game is, but I gotta do a little like segment on here just talking about it because it took up a lot of my time in March and was just the cozy game for me. That game, of course, is Pokemon Pokopia. I have been playing this with Brooks. We kind of have been like dual wielding this island because we both really wanted to play it, but only one of us has a Switch 2 right now. And the reason I kind of convinced myself to buy the Switch 2 because I was like, we both could benefit from it. So we have been working on pretty much everything together. This is my little house. I share it with my goo baby. I would be showcasing this like on the big screen, but I don't have my dock set up over here yet. As soon as I get that figured out and all set up, I will probably start either showcasing these games on my channel more or like making videos for them if that's something that you guys care about, but also just, you know, giving you a wrap-up video that is a little bit better planned and put together. I have not made a lot of progress on my little area. I've just been trying to restore all of this. I unlocked the area that you can do with friends, as well as I went through the first portal and got to, I can't remember what the second area is called, but I have access to both of them. I haven't done a lot of decorating, but as soon as I get to decorating, I want to showcase that. My favorite Pokemon that I have, besides Gumi, I would say, is probably, oh, I can't show y'all. my baby Hoppip. I just absolutely adore Hoppip. I think that they're so cute. And they have like such a cute friendship with Gulpin. I love them. I love them. They're my ship. I ship them. I'm shipping different Pokemon now. This is the world I'm in. What y'all doing? What y'all been up to? But yeah, like I said, I don't have a lot to showcase on here yet. And eventually, hopefully in the future, I plan to actually have my dock set up to my computer. So that way I can show you guys different things and play different games with you if you're interested in that. But that is all I have for the game section. I know it was short this month. I am so sorry that I didn't accomplish more, but you know, I'm just a human. So, I mean, hopefully I'll have more for you next month. But let's go ahead and jump into the book section now. Okay, we have now made it to the book section, which I am so excited about because I actually got myself a library card this month, which is, I would say, one of the reasons I think I was successfully able to read a bit more. I cannot wait to jump into the different books that I checked out from the library and also just my thoughts on all of these books. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first book that I started. The first book that I finished in the month of March. It was actually one that I read on my Kindle. I do not have a physical copy of it. It is on Kindle Unlimited. Also, I also want to mention this month I started a little reading journal. I kind of thought this would be a fun way to help me remember everything for my wrap-up videos, and so I also have turned it into a little crafty kind of scrapbook thing. So I have like my ratings and different thoughts on the books, as well as like a summary, my personal thoughts, and then also I have a couple quotes that I think I will share at the end of each book just to kind of give you an idea of what the vibe for the book is. But if you see me looking down at all during this video, it's probably because I'm referencing this to talk about all of these books. But like I said, the very first book I read was on my Kindle. It was Darling Venom by Parker S. Huntington. It is a romance book. I want to say it's a dark-ish romance book. It's a very heavy book, so right off the bat I want to say check your trigger warnings. It covers a lot of heavy topics and things that I will say you probably shouldn't go into blind. Personally, I rated this 4 stars. It was a guilty pleasure read for me. The reason I picked it up was because I was looking for just a deeper romance. I felt like a lot of the stuff I've been reading lately it was still interesting and fun and cute, but I wanted something that was, I guess, deeper and had some sort of like meaningful underlying tone. So that's why I picked this one up. It is a tragic story of teen friends who met in the most unfortunate circumstances. They are battling through the ups and downs of teenage life mixed with messy home lives for them. Charlie and Kellen make a pact to each other to just stay alive for the rest of high school. The plan is to meet up every single year on Valentine's Day and just kind of have this moment for each other to talk about how they're feeling and hold each other accountable in a sense, just making sure that the other one stays alive. This book took me almost 10 days to tear through. It is 700 pages, so it is a big book, so I feel like I kind of read through it fairly quickly for the size of it, and I think that maybe says a lot about the book. Each chapter really keeps you hooked because it's unveiling different things about the story and different characters. Every single time you finish a chapter, it just keeps you in the cycle of immediately wanting to start the next and know where it's going. The characters are all very complex, but each of them pull your heartstrings in their own way somehow. Despite not loving Kellen's brother Tate, who is the male main character in this book, I really still enjoyed everything that this book had to offer. I enjoyed the heavier themes that were presented and the way that they were presented. It was like, this book is a little Wattpad-ish, I will say that, but it is still a very enjoyable read in my opinion. Like I mentioned, make sure you check your trigger warnings if you read this, but if you check your trigger warnings and you think that it is good for you and you are clear to read it, I absolutely recommend it. There are a couple quotes to kind of set the scene of like what the book is about, so I'm going to read them, but also I guess I should like trigger warning this next 30 seconds for these quotes because they are very like heavy, but they honestly just very clearly set the tone of this book. The first is, "What selfish is to demand another to endure an intolerable existence just to spare families, friends, and enemies a bit of soul searching." And then I wish I had cancer or some other grand battle, dementia, stroke, organ failure. If I lose those fights, I'm brave, but the thing I'm battling is my mind, and if I lose, they'll call me weak. And then the last quote I wrote down, this one is a little bit lighter if you're worried. If you're worried about my mental health. I had such a strong grip on my life, such tight militant control that even the way I lost control needed to be done under my terms. The way I wanted it to happen, under circumstances I created. Like I said, this was such a heavy book, but honestly, it was one that really sat with me well. Like, I felt like it found me at a time that I, like I said, was looking for something like that, and I'm really grateful that it wasn't just a waste of my time and I actually felt like I gained something from it. But I will say after this, I was kind of looking for a different vibe. I didn't need anything as heavy, so I jumped back into a different genre. I hopped back into the like mystery slash thriller genre and picked up The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Right off the bat, I'm gonna say I rated this 3 stars and it was not my favorite book. I was craving a thriller and I had this book on my shelf for a very long time. I actually thrifted it way back when and I was like, okay, I think now is finally the time for me to pick it up and try it. This book takes place at a wedding off the coast of Ireland and dives into the drama between pretty much just a rich couple with rich friends. But of course, since it's a thriller, nothing about this wedding goes as planned right from the start. We are thrown into multiple different perspectives throughout this book, which I did find confusing at the beginning. It took me about 50 to 60% of the way through the book to kind of pick up on anything and also start distinguishing all the characters from each other. There is so much history and drama between these characters, and to be completely honest, I don't really think you're supposed to like a single character in this book, or at least that's how I felt. They all are troubled and a mess and just, it's drama from start to finish, but as a mystery. I will say, I think the very, very ending of this book carried it for me and is what solidified it as a 3-star. Otherwise, it probably would have been somewhere between 2 stars and 2.5. I still think this book just lacked something for me. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's not something I'll pick up again or necessarily think about or even maybe recommend to other people. I forgot to mention, I actually read this book before I read The Guest List, but I picked up another book on my Kindle. This next one was Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena. It was the first volume. I rated it 3.5 stars. It's a series of short stories about a young traveling witch named Elena. And if you didn't know, this is the light novel that the anime is based off of. What the Elena traveling witch anime is one of my favorite animes I've ever seen. I actually have a figure of her up in my setup because I just adore it so much. I knew I was going to pick this up and read it at some point, and I think I was able to get a copy of it from the library, which is why I stumbled upon it. I really enjoyed that every single chapter was a different adventure that Elena went on. There were a few chapters that I didn't really love, and I actually talked about this in my vlog. There was a body shaming chapter which rubbed me really wrong, but overall I thought the stories were fun and entertaining, and it was a fairly quick read for me. I think eventually I would like to pick up the next volume. Oh! Hi! Where's Lucy? Okay, had a little pause break because my brother came to visit me and he also brought his puppy, so I had to go say hi. Now that I'm like all sweaty and disgusting, I am back inside. We're going to pick this back up where we left off. Next up, I picked up My Hero Academia Volume 1 from the library. I started watching the anime with Brooks, and so when I saw that the library had the first volume, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start it as well because it's been a while since I have picked up a manga and like really read through it, and I felt like this is one of those series that I'll definitely do that with, especially since the library has almost the entire series. I really have been sleeping on MHA for way too long. I honestly am happy to report that the manga is even better than the show, in my opinion. I don't know what it is about just being able to read through the story and see the art. It's amazing. I personally just adore all of the snippets from the author. I think it's really cool to get to see, one, the thought process behind designing characters, and also just like little details about the character that you might have missed or like just didn't pay attention to. This manga jumps straight into the action, and from the first page to the last, there is just something going on. You're going to be flipping through pages faster than you can imagine. I think the pacing is done very well, and it holds up throughout the entire thing. I put a hold on the second volume before I even made it halfway through this one because I knew immediately I was going to want to continue it. That's how much I was enjoying it. The characters are so fun to learn about, and it's really interesting to get to see each of their quirks and like how that applies to the story. The idea of a world full of people with powers is really interesting to me, which is why I just knew I would pick up the second volume so quickly after finishing this. I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I rated it 4 stars, which is really high for a manga for me. Usually I don't rate manga that high, but I genuinely really enjoyed reading through this. The next book I read was also a book that I got from the library, and it was Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This is a sports romance. I actually stumbled upon this series while walking around in the library. If you watched my vlog, then you actually saw me pick it up. I kind of love sports romance around summertime, and since everything was heating up, I thought, oh, this is a great pick to bring me into the vibes for right now. But I will say this is a more spicy than sweet sports romance about a professional golfer, Wells, and his biggest fan, Josephine. Wells strikes a deal up with Josephine. He wants her to help fix her career. He's feeling very hopeless and on the verge of just completely quitting. And so in exchange for her being his new caddy, he will split the prize money with her, which is really beneficial to her just because she's in a place where she's really strapped for cash and she could use it. Although this book takes place in Palm Beach, and I just want to say, I was literally born in Florida, in Palm Beach, so I'm kind of like, if you're strapped for cash, you should probably not be there. Hence why I'm not there. But I mean, anyway, whatever. That doesn't take away from the plot. I just thought it's funny because it's like, if you're strapped for cash, why are you living like in Miami? Why are you... I don't know. I understand that like you can't just pick up everything and move, but I do genuinely think it would be so much cheaper to be anywhere than in Florida. And especially Palm Beach. As I mentioned at the start of this review, this book is really just a lot more spice than anything else. There's not a lot of any plot that goes on, I guess. There's just not a lot that happens in this book besides the spice between them. There was not a lot of pining. It was not a slow burn. My personal preference for romance books is a bit of a slower burn, so just right off the bat, this wasn't necessarily my taste. I do enjoy Tessa Bailey's writing though, because it really reads like a rom-com, which is where at least some of the points for this book come from. There were parts that made me giggle, which is why I think I want to pick up the next book in this series. I know that golf just also is not my favorite sport, so that could be why this is really not for me. I gave it a solid 3 stars, which, like I said, not a great rating, not a book I'm going to think about, not a bad rating. Like, it's just a book I read, I enjoyed, whatever. It wasn't great, won't recommend, won't ever think about again, probably. But I do want to, I have one quote that I wrote down from this book that I thought kind of like gave who this guy is. It says, "Ask me to walk on broken glass next. Watch me not even hesitate." So, you know, at least there's that. At least the guy is like fine. He's like a good male main character, I guess, you know. That feels like I'm not hyping him up, but I mean, anyway, like I said, read at your own risk. You might like it, you might not like it. I don't know what to tell you. It was just an okay read for me. The next book I finished, this is the last like full book that I finished, and I actually just finished it today while getting ready to film for my wrap up, and that is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. Obviously, this is another library book that I borrowed. I also borrowed the audiobook from Libby just to help me get through it. I like to pair a lot of these books with their audiobooks just to help me get through them, like if I'm driving or anything, especially because I very often have to do like pretty long drives. So I like to be able to at least continue my book when I have to do something like that. I want to show off the page that I did for this because I'm really happy with it. I think it turned out really pretty. I rated this book 4.5 stars, and I honestly think that from beginning to end, this book was pure entertainment for me. Highly skilled bodyguard Hannah Brooks is hired to protect a famous superstar, Jack Stapleton, from a stalker that has been harassing him for months online. But the catch is, while Hannah works around Jack's family, they have to fake date as to not stress out the family or make them think that anything's going on. Jack really doesn't want the news of the stalker to get out to them. They are forced to maintain these two relationships, one around their family that is a fake dating scenario, and then one that is strictly work-related where Hannah is just trying to protect Jack from his stalker. Very quickly, they begin growing close to each other, which obviously results in the whole situation getting a little tricky for them. Personally, I loved both the male and female main characters in this book. There was so much to like about the both of them. They were so likable in their own ways, but also flawed, which was really enjoyable and refreshing for me. I also enjoyed the female main character being the bodyguard. It was nice to see like a switch up on how traditional tropes in books go. It's so nice to get to see the female play like a role that is traditionally done by the male in most books. This book was so fun from beginning to end. The banter between these two characters was just top tier. I actually loved how the story ended as well. At first I was so confused and like how, what, where is this going? And then when it was all wrapped up, I was like, oh my god, this just made me really confirm my beliefs on how much I adore this book. This was such a good rom-com, and I will definitely see myself, and I definitely see myself rereading it in the future, as well as I think I saw when I was doing research on this book that a movie is coming out, slash I don't know when it's coming out, if it's out, I don't know anything about that, but I just saw that a movie is like in the works for this, which to me, so exciting because in my head this played out like a movie and I cannot wait to see it play out on the screens if that's true. I wrote down 2 quotes from this book that really stuck with me, and I really want to read them because I feel like these will definitely like set the tone, like I keep saying, set the tone for the vibe of this book and really show you the depth of it, I guess. I feel like sometimes when I talk it don't make any sense, and I always say that. Just bear with me while I read you these quotes. I think just because you can't keep something doesn't mean it wasn't worth it. Nothing lasts forever. What matters is what we take with us. And then, you can't make people love you, but you can give the love you long for out to the world. You can be the love you wish you had. That's the way to be okay, because giving love to other people is a way of giving it to yourself. Literally, I loved that book. That's gonna be one of those books that I do recommend to people if they're ever looking for just a rom-com. That's the first thing I'm going to say, have you read? Even though I know a lot of people have. I'm a little late to the train, but if you haven't read it, please, please, please do yourself a favor and do. Now, the very last thing that I haven't finished yet, but I literally have this much left of, and I will definitely finish before the end of today, so I'm including it in the wrap-up. But if you want to see my like full final thoughts and what I rate it, then make sure you check out my Fable, because that's where I put my full review and all my ratings, as well as that's where our book club is, and we just picked a new book club pick, which I'm so excited to read next month and hopefully have in the wrap-up. So that is all linked in the description. Shameless plug to go check that out if you're interested. But now let's yap about the very last thing for today, and that is My Hero Academia Volume 2. This one obviously picks up where the other one left off. The characters are given their outfits and also are kind of almost immediately thrown into action and forced to battle. I really enjoyed this volume just because a lot of the art in the characters' costumes really shines through, as well as the plot in this book is, I will say, a little bit more interesting than the first, just because we're picking up and kind of seeing different dynamics between characters and seeing who doesn't like each other, who likes each other, who we're gonna have to be worried for, that kind of thing. As well as we do get introduced to more villains. I think I've got maybe 40-ish pages left of this. I think I'm leaning towards rating this 4 stars as well. I am still thoroughly enjoying it, and I will have to make a trip to the library soon to get to, 1, return all these copies of books that I no longer am reading, and also to pick up the next copies of books that I really need. So now, with all of that being said, I think this is finally going to bring us to the end of today's video. I know it was a little bit less of an exciting one in terms of like games and things. I don't feel like I had the most to showcase. Despite being in a pretty bad burnout though, I do think I accomplished a bit more than I thought I could. So I'm just going to like pat myself on the back for that and be happy about that, as well as I'm excited that I got this reading journal started. Hopefully it's going to stick with us for the next couple months, and I will continue using this as a reference to help with these wrap-up videos. But make sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Tell me what you read this month and recommend any books or games for me to dive into this next month. Don't forget my Discord server is always linked in the description below for anyone that would like to join, as well as, like I mentioned, my Fable book club will be there as well. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye!